What is happening? YouTube, Facebook. If you're on Cash's Facebook, make sure you hit that thumbs up. All right. We're trying to get his channel back popping. It's a crazy world, man, when you are shadow banned for telling the truth. I'm used to 500-600 people a show. Cash it would get at least 1K, 3,000, and we're stuck with 60 to 50 people watching our videos now. So do me a favor if you're tuning in. I know it's super late, but there's some people on the West Coast that are still up. Hit the thumbs up, hit the subscribe, notification bell if you're watching on Facebook right now. Please share this live. I don't know where Quinn is, and I'm gonna call you out a little bit because I said, yo, come on, let's talk. And you were like, okay, I might be able to do this. Oh shit, what is that? DC's got a whole like soundtrack going on over there.
My bad. No.
But we'll see. Hopefully he'll come and we can talk about these awesome topics because we have to talk as people. We can't keep fighting pro-Israel and pro-Palestine. I have decided to just like completely take my stance out of that, and I'm just pro-Jesus. So I don't know what to tell the rest of you guys. The word on cash. So the word on cash is the AC was turned on. So your calls worked. Everybody that banded together to get help for him and the inmates that are in there, they are now in AC, so they're good. Hopefully the shows that we've been doing lately will bring some more attention to the people that are sitting in jail for the Capitol incident. And before I get started, I want to run that video again so we can see exactly the media propaganda that we're fighting against. Okay, this is what actually happened in the Capitol on January 6th.
Everybody, listen up. The police here are willing to work with us and cooperate peacefully, like our First Amendment allows. Gather more Americans under the condition that they will come and gather peacefully to discuss what needs to be done to save our country.
One other or the other. You need a show. All right. You understand?
Yes.
Then show us no attacking, no assault, remain calm.
We're not going to assault. We're going to be heard. Everybody, this must be peaceful.
This has to be peaceful. We have the right to peacefully assemble.
Oh, so Capitol Police said, come in. Capitol Police said, you could come in as long as you're peaceful, but we still got people in jail. Hashtag run it up in hashtags, guys. We're sending it viral. Free Cash Kelly. You have people locked up for no reason. And the people that have the lengthy rap sheets have bonded out. Just saying. It's crazy.
They made him the poster boy of the
they did. You want to know for what? This is for what? For literally posing with the statue. For posing with the statue, bro. A judge said this was he was so disgusted from seeing an American pose with the statue in a Capitol that our tax dollars pay for. Propaganda. It's going to be the downfall of America if people don't wake up and snap out of whatever slumber they're in, dude. I don't mind doing shows like this. I'm going to be straight. So everybody else, you're in La La Land, la-di-da, worried about Cardi B, loving hip hop, the next episode of Housewives of Atlanta. What else we got on TV now? Growing Up Hip Hop Los Angeles. I purposely watch these shows to see how much of a distraction they are to people. These shows are absolutely stupid. But we have a guest. He actually hit my inbox and said he was willing to discuss. And everybody knows I welcome everybody on the show. I'm super chill. I'm respectful. But if you turn up, I might turn up back. So welcome to the stream, Wayne. How you doing?
What's up?
We're chilling.
Man, same here. It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance, by the way. I actually don't talk with very many people. I've been in this room for about 4 years now with a chronic illness.
Wow. Well, I'm glad you're here, and thank you for being willing to talk. And I hope whatever illness you have, we'll be praying, and I hope it gets better.
It's been getting a lot better. Thank you very much.
Awesome.
God bless you as well.
Cool. Cool.
Both of
So we wanted to talk about we'll bounce around on topics, but the most pressing one for me is the fact that people's favorite rappers are starting to come out, embrace Trump, and they have been for years. It didn't start till 2015 where Trump's racist because Massa said jump and y'all niggas said how high, while the rest of us said I'm walking. That's literally what happened. But I'm gonna pull up these Instagram posts because he put out a tweet, I think 2 days ago, where he said, "I had a dream about Trump. I love that nigga." And you know, I have black folks in my comment section like, "Well, he has to say that." What? Well, he got him out of jail. He's got to say that.
Oh my God.
I'm not lying, man. I'm gonna show you.
But what about the ball players who were arrested in China and he got them off and they fought? They didn't want to apologize. Like, who forced this guy?
Well, who else was it? Was it Kid Cudi or somebody like that? Who was the other rapper?
I don't know.
There was
that got in trouble in
Pump.
like Switzerland or something like that. Somewhere.
Wasn't that ASAP Rocky?
ASAP Rocky. That's who it was. Yep. Yeah.
Let me show you these comments. I'm gonna show you the post. I'm gonna show you guys the comments because this is how dysfunctional black folks have become. This is the post I put up, and I just called people out. I'm like, when are we gonna stop bashing Trump for being a racist? Your favorite rappers endorse Donald J. Trump. Hashtag Make America Think Again. Now a lot of these people agree with me here, but Tiffany, and I hope Tiffany is watching. And I hope she decides to come on. She decided to go against the grain, you know, because these people are afraid of losing their black card. I'm not. I lost it a long time ago. And she says, yeah, because they needed him to get out of trouble. So now you're saying, oh, well, these black folks only care because they were using him to get out of trouble. She went on further to say, they both were looking at some heavy sentences, smart moves on their end, as if they strategically said, I'm going to reach out to Trump and get my ass out of jail. This ignorance, it pisses me off, bro. They will never speak on Trump again. This is what she said before she saw the tweet.
It's after the fact. Like, they're already out of jail. They owe Trump nothing else. Like, you know, what more could it do for them? It's just ridiculous.
Generous. Like, she acts like everyone else is an idiot but those people, and she's somehow brilliant enough to perceive their genius. So
I challenge her, of course. Everybody knows me. I challenge her, and I ran it down. She didn't respond. She was pretty much like, Trump got sued for not wanting to rent his apartment to black people. That's a lie. He didn't want to rent to people, Section 8 recipients, and owners have every right to say no. Like it or not. He
wasn't the only one in the suit.
Exactly. So I said, you know, she said, I threw up in my mouth when I seen Kodak Black put this tweet out. Had a dream about Trump last night. I love that nigga. She threw up in her mouth. So I just proceeded to let her know, your mentality makes me throw up. The fact that you're willing to embrace a candidate, because she voted for a Jim Crow Joe. So you're okay with this man saying, we don't know how to read. We can't use the internet. We can't find our way to the DMV. Integrating with us would turn the schools into a racial jungle. Okay?
My implication
all this stuff.
Said that you're poor.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You know what else? The icing on the cake, he compared black children to roaches.
I haven't seen that one.
No response. What do you guys think about this?
And let's not even get into all the tangible, like him doing his job, harming black people. Like, it's deeper than just words. You know, he's actually laid down legislation all his career, harming black people. And you know, we can say there were good intentions behind, you know, some of the stuff that they did, but that's the point.
Mhm.
That's the entire point. That's what we've been warned about by Malcolm X, that
Well,
the good intentions of white liberals will always come back to bite blacks in the butt. And it's proven true for the last, what, 80 to 100 years.
and I mean, it's like the statement. I'm sure you've heard it. The road to hell is paved with good intentions, and it really speaks volumes because this is politics. It's science. Your feelings should have no bearing on what you do,
Hmm.
especially legislatively.
Yep.
Exactly. That's what they treated like when Trump lost, people was hitting me up. They was like, "Oh yeah, you mad," and on the same type of stuff as if my team just lost the championship
Yeah,
game, in the NBA. So this is not a game. Like, this is
exactly.
politics. This is our livelihoods. And they're cheering as if they won some award or something like that. And it
Yeah.
just goes to show how seriously they actually take it. It's all
May,
entertainment to them.
may I note something about Black Lives Matter that's relevant there more generally?
Hmm. Go ahead.
Um, I reject not only Black Lives Matter, uh, but also and all lives matter and all of it. Now the statement I don't mind, but the political movements and the conception of those movements I reject. And the reason why is because they're the reification fallacy or the concretization fallacy, whereby the abstract is conflated with the practical. Abstract being ideas, practical being people and events. Well, actually, persons and events, because persons are real, people are abstractions.
Hmm.
Um, when they say, like it's like the people that were shocked when I can't recall her full name, but Patrice Cullors
Yeah.
uh, bought the compound and the houses and all of the real estate. There were people shocked. They're like, but I thought they cared about people. It's like, what in that name implied that? Have you ever witnessed black lives? I have not. They don't exist. White lives don't exist either.
Exactly. And that's exactly what I was telling my brother. I was telling him pretty much exactly what you said, that I told him stop thinking in terms of abstractions. Like,
Yeah,
if we think about, our own lives, which is reality, our own lives, our own experiences in America, it's not what they portray.
Yeah.
Like, we're not getting gunned down because we're not into those things. You're doing great in your military career, in the stock market, building a family, building wealth. But you're listening to them and allowing them to group you, on the basis of skin color with a bunch of
yeah.
people who are up to no good, that that have harmed our community since we've been little, since we were little kids. Walking down the street, getting jumped by three grown men, things
Yeah.
like that.
May I
Yeah,
ask you
yeah,
something,
you're exactly
sir?
right. Hmm.
May I ask you something? And is that pronounced Bonner?
Yeah, DC is fine.
All right, DC.
Hmm.
I was going to call you Mr. Bonner. Uh, um, I notice I understand that you are addressing the black community, as it were, as a demographic.
Hmm.
Um, I wonder though, because there's a similarity between that language and the Black Power um, vernacular. I just wonder, is there a distinction between the two in your case, insofar as the Black Power ideology was that blacks would uh, essentially create their own, almost like nation within a nation, like the Native Americans have in the United States, but of black community, uh, and then everyone else. Like, what was that? Would that be fair, or is there a distinction between what you believe and that ideology?
Well, I don't believe in that ideology in terms of separatism,
Okay,
and being counterculture. We need to engage in a culture, and there's this chip on black people's shoulders, and they feel like we have to buck the system, and then turn around and say that the system doesn't work for us. So when
yeah,
I speak about say things like black community, I'm talking about in terms of any other community. Like, you have Chinese communities, and you have
yeah.
Chinatown, you have Little India, in whatever
Speaking
city you
about
go
it
to. So
objectively,
yeah,
yeah.
exactly. So yeah, yeah, that as far as, like, separating ourselves and being this whole counterculture buck the system, have a chip on your shoulder. It hasn't worked for us.
Yeah, it's
It's
just
held us back.
sacrificing civic harmony at the cost of civic welfare. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate
But
that. I was curious because, as you're aware, there's a similar vernacular there.
Yeah.
what's happening is we're fighting. It's a bunch of cultures at war with other cultures.
Mm.
That's what it is. Um, American culture, I believe, is just all of us understanding that we're diverse. And when you start to break it down by race, Black culture is a product. It's a product that a lot of Black folks buy into, even some white folks, because you have the white liberal on that side buying into the Black culture. We're a victim. We can't do anything. Trump's
Mhm.
racist. America's racist. And they have nothing to back it.
Hmm.
Everything is feelings. Like the live that you caught, I was actually talking to a high school friend, and it was like he was trying to convince me that I was racially profiled. I'm like, if you feel that way, I can't take that from you. But how do you know?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Well, it was a language. What was the language? Well, he asked me, what was I doing here? So if he asked a white person the exact same question, would it be racially profiling?
Hmm.
Why is it only applied to a Black person if a cop is saying, "Hey, what you doing in this neighborhood?" I don't understand it. It
I
doesn't
mean,
make sense.
I agree with you, but I can't tell you why. If for the hell of it, I suppose.
Sure. Help me understand.
There's that new definition of racism in the sociological textbooks, and they say that that's the sole definition of racism, and they say that it implies uh, power over other social groupings, and then they just omit all of the history everywhere else, and they kind of relegate all of American history within the United, well, not even just within the United States, but all of American history to the South.
Yes.
It's funny how that works.
And who pushes that ideology? The
Hmm.
Democrat Party.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember when I first started this, I was like, man, I'm going to tell Black people how great our history is. I'm going to tell them all these Black leaders, the Thomas Sowells, the Larry Elders, the Walter Williams. I'm going to talk about Hiram Revels, the first 7 Black senators. You know what they did? Coon. I'm
Yep.
like, bro.
It's crazy.
They say
It
that
is
about Alex de
crazy.
Tocqueville. They say that about Alex de Tocqueville.
Dog. I'm
Hmm.
like, so I'm a coon. Like, what do y'all want from me? Do you want me? So you just want me to get on here and be like, man, this F the police. This is messed up. They keep killing us. So you want me to like take myself out of reality and lie to myself and tell myself these things are happening at a massive level when I know they're not, because it's the national statistics yearly are 14 to 20 people, Black folks
Mm.
unarmed. And out of those 14 to 20 people, you have, well, I'm just going to ballpark it, 98% of them are not resisting. I mean, are resisting or fighting.
Hmm.
98%. And I say that because, well, I can't even say that. Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, Philando Castile. Those, all 3 of them weren't resisting. Outside of those 3, please show me a case where a cop didn't have to at least defend himself or protect the public in some way because he was dealing with somebody who doesn't want to comply.
And that's only 3 over the last 5 years
Yes.
that you can think of off top. And I think I figured it out. Like when we talk about things like that, when we bring up statistics and talk about the whole policing in the Black community dynamic, that those situations happen as a result of Black culture. Black
Absolutely.
people think that it happens as a result of Black people, and they have trouble separating the two. They think if you're attacking or you criticizing Black culture, you're criticizing Black people.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I say it all the time. Black people, there are some great Black people. I know some of the most hood, gangster Black people you will ever meet, but they are genuine. They are good. They will talk to you. They will speak. They will open doors. They are great people. Great
Yep.
people. But it's the culture. The culture is the problem. The culture corrupts the people.
Yep.
And so we got to learn how to separate the two. That we can criticize and be critical of Black culture, and still love black people. If I'm saying something about black culture, that doesn't mean I hate black people. That means I hate what black culture does to black people. Is destructive.
It is.
Might I
Very
offer a
destructive.
suggestion?
Hmm.
I've thought about this for some time. Um, it's just a notion, really. But have you two read Black Rednecks and White Liberals by Thomas Sowell?
Yeah.
Hmm.
It's a masterful work, isn't it?
Yeah.
Masterful.
Yes, it is.
Right.
After every chapter, I laugh because I'm like, man, this dude is a sly devil. Like he can write. But
Hmm.
taking into account the what seems to be the history of what is now called Black culture, as it were, I think that one way that we might go about appealing to those who are obsequious to leaders in so-called Black culture and therefore promulgate this culture uh, like it's part of themselves intimately, like this is just inextricable. Um,
Hmm.
Going back through actual Black history, not just confined to the United States, not just confined to Africa, but actually going through it and going, look, like this is new. What you're doing is new, and it didn't come from you.
Mm-mm.
Like if you identify with the collective primarily and the individual secondarily, fine for the moment. Look, that's not your culture, and look what it's doing.
Right.
Aren't you against the system?
Yeah.
You know,
Facts.
Exactly. And you
I
you could just. I'm sorry.
Go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say you could just take a look at the many free blacks, especially up north. You know,
yeah.
uh, before the slaves were free and before the migration of blacks up north. The type of culture and the communities they were building right alongside with white folk, and it's a beautiful thing. Even after slavery, there was a lot to be proud of within black culture.
Hmm.
Especially as we get into the 20s, 30s, 40s. We start producing music, start dances. You had dance halls. You didn't have the violence, you didn't have the crime like you see today, and black people were just making such great strides, within the American system, and that's something to be proud of. But we're taught to be bitter about our past because of slavery, because of Jim Crow. But even during those times, those were, black people reached some of our greatest feats, and that history is lost, and that's a major problem when you don't know your history. Is you're pretty much hopeless in moving forward.
May I ask you a
Facts, man.
question?
Hmm.
Uh, do you recall Justice Taney? Uh, does that name ring a bell for either of you?
Mm-mm.
No, not really.
Oh, I Dred Scott, that's the name. It was from
Oh
the Dred
Oh.
yes,
Scott
he
case,
fought
the
for his
Justice.
freedom.
Yes,
Mhm.
and it's like if you read the majority opinion by Justice Taney,
Mhm.
it's despicable. But when you read it, what you find is that he says it right there that these rights should be denied because it would allow Black people to uh, go wherever, whenever, singly or in company, to organize freely, to walk with a firearm wherever, all of these things.
Mhm.
And it seems that it's so weird. It's like people who think that you can just excise all Judeo-Christian uh, uh, ethics and moral and practical philosophy, and that you still get the United States at this point in time. Like that's just how it works. There's this
Right.
disconnect. It
Hmm.
seems that if there was a way to get it through to people, that these things are actually connected.
Hmm.
Like it just seems that's what has to be communicated somehow. But then again, there's the issue that no one really wants to talk about, and that is that not everyone wants to hear what you're saying. It's kind of like, if you look at some schools, they think that if you just put more money into the school system, the kids will come out smarter. No, no, you have to build the culture first. You have to build the
Facts.
culture around the school.
Hmm.
A lot of people, a lot of Americans don't realize, and I came to this aha moment a couple years ago. There's only good and evil in this world. Okay. if you're not serving Jesus, and I don't listen, I serve the Lord. If you're not serving Jesus, you're serving Satan. Period.
Yep.
You know,
Gray area is confusion, and the author of confusion,
exactly.
you know,
It's Satan.
Yeah.
When you the whole a lot of the self-worship going on, like Demi Lovato feeling like she needs to tell the world, I am a non-binary and I want to be referred to as them and they. If that's not Luciferian, I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
It's
Outright
self-worship.
bastardization.
Just like you said, we can't even get people to see that all of our core values of Christianity are tied into America. And if you separate it, you're going to disrupt, which is what we're seeing. We're seeing a disruption. A gay marriage is okay, and I don't have a problem with gay people. Now we're getting on to trans being pushed like wildfire. You had Caitlyn Jenner feeling like he can run for office when you were just on Fox News crying about the Lord may or maybe not accepting you. Like, this is real. This and people watch this stuff and they're like, huh, or they watch it and then they cut it off and they don't take a second look at it.
Look at
He's
the disconnect in
struggling.
his own book.
Thank you. He's struggling. A lot of Americans are struggling, and it's for the lack of not having a relationship with God. It really is. You're disconnected from your source.
That's why they're all a bunch of nihilists.
If you read the I used to always look at history and I would struggle with, like, how could y'all make those mistakes? How could y'all allow that to happen? And specifically, like, when I look at the Bible, reading through Kings and Judges and some of the Old Testament books, how Israel would get right with God, they would reconcile with God, and then the next generation would come on and they would defy God. They would build altars to other gods and blatantly spit in the face of God. And he would have to recorrect them, and then they would reconcile again, in the next generation. Then another generation would come, and and that's what it is. There's a disconnect between, people and their true history. They had to, in Israel, they had to rediscover the Bible. They had to rediscover, what Moses did, for the people and things like that in order to reconcile with God. So it was through history, learning their history and coming back to God, they were able to get on track. And so I now see clearly, how that's possible, because it's happening right now in our age. People are so disconnected to history. It's it's impossible, to get the facts right if you don't know, the past, where you came from.
And pardon me for interjecting, but so many people now more than ever are not only willing but able to tickle the ears of people. And it's just anyone can do it now.
Yeah, that's the scary part about it, man.
And that's what people look for.
Scary part about it, yeah.
And you have the censorship that keeps people from being able to counter that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Shadow ban.
Yep, same here. I didn't even post content on my YouTube. I just engaged in debates and comment sections, and what do you know?
Wow. That's crazy. The first time I talked about, and I can't say it on here, but we'll say when the American people were disproportionately affected with their votes, I got a 3-month ban. 3 months.
Dang.
My first community strike. I'd never done anything. They demonetized me, took my account for 3 months.
What was incorrect or controversial about that? I thought we all knew that that's intrinsic to debates and elections.
Not anymore.
I guess we're in utopia. We made it.
We definitely got to get behind the push, because there are senators that are really adamant about breaking up the monopolies of these big tech corporations, and I'm fully behind it. We got to break it up. It's too great of a threat to the American way of life, to the American system, to everything we know, for us not to get serious about it. Like, it's gonna take more than people just boycotting, not using these platforms, because they're so intrinsic to our lives now. Like, Facebook,
We're in the age of
It's
social
hard to go without
currency.
these social media platforms now, but we gotta take away some of that power from these people because they're taking away from us.
I
For
don't
sure.
even believe that we have to go about it with respect to antitrust, like philosophically.
Hmm.
Now, practically, yes, we do because that's the law. That's why it's
Hmm.
been shocking me this whole time. You know, it's like, but antitrust. This is quote unquote limiting the competitiveness of others, right? Look at what they did to uh, Parler. You know, and but then again, you
Hmm.
have the scandal. Not that it's even relevant, but the scandal that Parler had in terms of their breaches of privacy. But it it seems to me that we, I mean, of course, again, by law, we do need to go about this with respect to antitrust. But I don't even believe that we need to do that, that we need to break up these businesses, that what we should do is look at what the pitfalls are. What are the negative consequences? What are we seeing? And then what seem to be, if they're all connected, so be it. But what are the root causes respective to each one of these surface manifestations that's a problem? And figure out what we might be able to do there, because it seems, well, here's an analogy, and this may or may not be an apt analogy. I've been up a long time. um the women got the vote, right? um Before, they didn't have the vote because concomitant to the vote uh was mandatory bucket duty and the draft. So what did we do? Well, we said, fine, you don't have to uh sign up for mandatory bucket duty in the draft. You'll just get the right to vote. Well, decades later, here we are having this. Well, actually, in all fairness, about a century later, uh, we're having this debate now. This band-aid has come off. What about women in the draft? What about, and all of this, and now the new politics surrounding so-called gender, which it's weird that gender always comes up in relation to sex, because the claim of the transgender people is that sex and gender vary independently. It doesn't make sense.
Yep.
But I do believe that we're just going to put another band-aid on something.
I can agree with you there. I see what you're saying. Because people are not really interested in getting to the root cause and fixing stuff, because that with that comes the great responsibility of accountability. And a lot
Congress
of
doesn't
people,
even read bills.
right? And they probably done so much in their careers that they're just like desensitized to everything. I wonder how many deaths that they've caused with unnecessary wars,
Yeah.
and then having to have a come to a Jesus moment in front of the American people. It's not going to happen. That'll come when Jesus comes. I'm
Hmm.
excited for that. I'm telling you, like that's
Yeah.
when um I go back to the Bible when he says it's the vengeance is not yours, it's the Lord's.
Hmm.
So everybody that's upset with how our government is going, we are going to come out on top. It sucks, but this is a war that we're in. It's not even a physical war, it's spiritual, man. You
It
got
is.
people telling me that UFOs are real and we're speaking to alien intelligence. I'm like,
Yeah.
there's only good and there's only evil, dog. If you're communicating with other beings, that's called necromancy, and you're talking to demons. Like, let's just keep it a buck.
Hmm.
Looks like they act like they're
You're
supernatural, and like that has kind of a what's that, an idolatry implication.
It
So,
does.
like,
Hmm.
This is one of my favorite quotes by George Orwell. If you haven't read the book 1984, it's a good read, and it'll probably help you understand where we are today. But he said, if all others accept a lie, which the party imposed, if records told the same tale, then a lie passed into history became truth.
Hmm.
If people don't stand up and speak out against what has happened in this election, it's going to pass into history like Joe Biden won fair and square. That's where we are. 10 years from now, our kids, well, my kids will, but if you're talking about the general public, they won't know anything about this election other
yeah.
than pro-American people tried to stage a coup.
Hmm.
That's it.
It's just it's disgusting how they handled that, like especially off the coattails of all the Black Lives Matter riots. Like it's truly disgusting that they would paint that one way and completely ignore all the other chaos
Yep.
that we witnessed over the last few months. Like
And years.
it's
It's not like
despicable.
this election. What happened at the election was isolated. It most certainly was not. This has gone on for years.
Hmm.
I believe this started before Trump was elected. I mean, this
Oh, for
is
sure.
and you even with what Director Wray of the FBI said, you had these idiots running around claiming that the FBI had put it out that Antifa was an idea. No, he said it was an ideology or a social movement. And technically, that's true. It's either a revolutionary social movement or an ideology that typically comprises anarcho-communists and all sorts of Marxists. Like
Right.
this has been going for a long time.
Yep. Color, communism, common sense. Go read
Yes,
it.
by Manning Johnson. Yes, I
Yes.
own it. Yes.
Mhm.
Go read it because he says how every group is being used,
From
but he definitely
1958.
he highlights how evangelical blacks are being used as a church, just blacks in general. They send people to recruit. It's all communism. It's just
Yeah.
packaged differently. That's all
Mhm.
it is. They sell
Yeah.
it to other countries. They form it as, oh, this is democracy. Hillary Clinton does this. If you remember the huge scandal that was happening in Burma, where the military took over, and they're like, nah, you guys, there was some funny business going on in this election. Hillary Clinton has the Clinton Global Initiative over there back 2014, and in 2020 we have a election scandal, and she's trying to help them form democracy in their country. It's communism, people, and a lot of people aren't going for that. I wish we had better leaders to stand up and say, nah, bruh, ain't happening.
May I note one thing briefly?
Yeah.
We shouldn't forget that Obama, toward the end of his administration, was going down to the UN building in New York and preaching the integration of the world's economies. Sounds like a concomitant to communism, if you ask me.
Wow. I didn't
Wow.
even know that. I'm about to look that up. That's crazy.
That's what it's all about. That's what they want. That's what they want for us.
It's a new world order. But I'm going to play a little bit of Kwame Brown. He is a former NBA player, and go subscribe to his YouTube right now. See, I don't care about giving free promo. I'm that cool. Go to his YouTube right now. I'm going to tell you his YouTube page. Kwame Brown Bus Life. Check out his YouTube. He's always dropping gems. In fact, DC just told me about this because I had no clue. I watched maybe 2 or 3 videos that he put out, and I was like, how doesn't this dude have a following? How is he not bigger than in my opinion, he's better than Tatum. You can relate to him more. It's crazy the stuff he's talking about, but I'm going to play a few minutes of this video so we can hear. And he's actually pro-Trump for people that are going to ask. Can you guys hear this? Okay.
I can't hear it.
I thought I heard it for a moment, and now it's silent.
All right. I didn't share the audio. Hold on. This is my favorite Joe Biden picture.
That's me cracking up, man.
Okay, let me start over.
To make a point, because everybody now, especially black folks, I hate to hear black dudes say that. They repeat everything that the TV say, and maybe it's not CNN, but what the news stations do is they say the same thing on every cycle. If you turn on to any of those stations that's controlled by one side, they repeat the same thing on every news cycle. All the different reporters go up there and say the same thing, and then that's what's embedded in your head, because these people are smart. They track you through your phone, through our phones. These are very smart people. And so when you repeat something, you hear something over and over again, and then they bend the truth and they lie, you're going to have a society like we have today. I talked to a dude. Matter of fact, my old lady dad is 70 years old, and he hate Trump to the core. He is, he a Nation of Islam guy, but he found out that Trump gave money to HBCUs, and he was like, "Well, dang. Well, I do appreciate and I do like that. I respect that." But a lot of people can't even do that. It's like we done been brainwashed to hate this man so much that you scared. I think we all just scared because of the black folks in your family. You scared to tell the truth. I never met Trump. I met Obama. Never met Trump a day in my life. Don't know Trump. But I'd be damned if somebody gonna scare me into not being able to see what I actually see. I'm not pussified like that. And I don't, they've been talking about me my whole life, so I really don't care what you say. And for all the so-called Christians, why are you guys so afraid? Christians supposed to go through shit. Didn't Jesus die on the cross for all of our sins? And y'all not willing to stand up and do the right thing for him while you right here on earth sucking up all the meat, juice, and wine and every damn thing else. It's sad. It's pathetic. Because of popular belief, we just go with the flow. Because our favorite celebrity not doing it, we ain't gonna do it. We drag out every idiotic celebrity and hey, voter die, voter this, get woke. They ain't give you no policy, no plan, no messaging other than Orange Man bad. That don't make any sense. You got grown ass black men telling me, oh, they separating kids from their family. If I go get my son and I go commit a crime, they're going to separate me from my son. So that's just idiotic to even say that. Anybody who went to jail, you damn sure can't run that past my brother Scrooge, because they damn sure separated him away from me. I ain't seen him in 14 years because of the 94 crime bill. I got dudes getting on my line telling me, oh, you stuck on the crime bill. Then you ask them a real question. Okay, well, what are you like? What are you stuck on? Because I like the money that he gave to HBCUs. I like the First Step Act. I like school choice. I like opportunity zones, and I like the platinum plan. Not all of it. Now tell me what you like about Biden. They click off. Like, it don't make no damn sense how brainwashed we are. Well, not we. It don't make no sense how brainwashed most people are, because anytime somebody trying to tell you something good, it's always, you only want to hear bullshit. You know, if I was on OnlyFans showing my penis, the live would be full.
How true is that? I say that
like
all the
social
time,
commentary.
bro. If I was a thought and I wanted to embarrass myself and degrade myself, I would have so many views and so many followers. But because I don't, and I carry myself with class, nobody's interested.
You're shaming people by implication. Makes you a bad person.
It's crazy. Where's that video at?
How far we falling, man.
It is. And it's like you said, the culture war is lost. But we're still supposed to fight through it and tell the truth. Just like you said, a lot of people, why are you acting scared? You follow Jesus, like, you know the end goal. You know what's
The
coming.
valley of the shadow of death and fear
What
no
are
evil.
you afraid of?
Yeah.
There is nothing that you could to scare me into not speaking about. Nothing. In fact, if you tell me not to talk about it, I'm probably gonna get on live and talk about it.
And you can't make me say things that I don't believe.
Thank you.
I was watching this show, Man in the High Castle.
I love that show.
Yeah, so yeah, you remember when the psychopath he told the store clerk or whatever, he said, "I'm gonna kill you, and there's nothing you can do about it." And I used to think to it made me think to myself, like, dang, what would I do if somebody told me that? Like, like, dang, what kind of guy is this? I can't do nothing about it. What would I do? I'm gonna fight. Like, I'm still gonna fight. I'm not gonna lay down.
Right.
You know, I'm not gonna just let somebody kill me, run over me. Like, we know what's happening. We know what's going on. The Bible has laid it all out. But
Facts.
God does not expect us, or, did not call us to just lay down and just take it. We are to fight tooth and nail, to the bitter end. And that's what we're doing. And most people are scared.
They are. And it's a shame. It's like, you're wow, man. I can't believe you got on there and said that. You know how many messages I get. Did you really just get on the internet and say that? When I came out about Caitlyn Jenner, I came out about Caitlyn Jenner before everybody decided to talk about it. At first, I was calling him Bruce, but then my husband was like, look, he legally changed his name, so don't give them any ammunition. But understand, I know you as a man. You're always going to be a man, and you're not fit to run California. That's like isn't it the fourth largest economy in our country within the state? They control so much, and you want to control it, and you have no experience running a business. Your home life is in shambles. Your daughters are thotting and bopping. None of them are married. And you want him to run the great state of California.
What does marriage even mean?
Okay. Sixth largest economy in the world. Thank you. Yeah. Let's go ahead and give a man who's suffering mentally with gender dysphoria. Yep. Let's give him that economy and see how great it is by the time he's done with it.
I mean, in all fairness, what even is marriage anymore? We don't have the societal backing of the institution because of places like that, where all it's about is, oh, look at our economy, even though our social sphere has been degenerated into dust. Like, even if he were to take charge and do something wonderful, he wouldn't fix that.
No.
Too many of that ideological ilk in that society.
Do you guys remember when Donald Trump received a Rainbow Coalition Award for being inclusive, helping Black people, giving Jesse Jackson not once but twice funded his campaign, also gave him free office space to run his campaign, and Jesse Jackson 2-3 years ago had the nerve to say that Donald Trump panders to poor white people and rich white people.
Well, maybe he's transracial.
That's a fair assumption, man. We could be anything we want to be.
Yep.
I'm gonna play it because I know people are gonna be like, "No, it didn't." Yes, it did. He got a whole award.
I now want to bring forth a friend who has, he is deceptive in that his social style is of such. One can miss his seriousness and his commitment for their success is beyond argument. When we opened this Wall Street project and we talked about it, he gave us space at 40 Wall Street, which was to make a statement about our having a presence there. And beyond that, in terms of reaching out and being inclusive, he's done that too. And created for many people a comfort zone when I ran for the presidency in 84 and 88. And many others thought it was either laughable or something to avoid. He came to our business meeting here in New York because he has this sense of the curious and a will to risk to make things better. And so aside from all of his style and his pizzazz, he's a serious person who's an effective builder of building for the builder of people. Last year, he was a part of our workshop, of our panel workshop on what are the challenges and opportunities. And so a year later, Donald Trump, for a few minutes, challenges and opportunities to embrace the underserved communities. Donald Trump.
Wow. 2015, Donald Trump's racist. Prove me wrong.
Wait, that was a 2015 video?
No. I'm saying this happened. He's been a huge piece of the Black community. We all know that. And in 2015, I remember the CNN excerpt. They started pulling things out, scandals. It started with the poster where he put a poster for the Central Park 5. He had all the knowledge that we would all have as the general public. You know what he did? He made a flyer, locked them up. They were using that against him to call him a racist. 2015. Go look it up. That's how long These people have been at it. And it only started in 2015. Every rapper that I can remember, 50 Cent, Ja Rule, all those guys had him in his video. So y'all were, what was you, tap dancing for Massa back then? I don't get it. I don't get it.
He was a really sneaky racist.
He's a bad one. He's a bad one. You want to help the people that you don't like get a leg up. You're going to fund a black man's campaign twice, but you don't like black folks.
Well, it's funny. They say that he's terrible and he's a clown and all that, but then they paint him as though he's Michael Jackson from the Smooth Criminal video.
Gosh. Well, we got one more topic, and of course, it's BLM. Black Lives Matter came out, and I'm going to show you because this is a New York Post article, but they did in fact put out this tweet, and I'll show the tweet as well. But they came out with this article saying that BLM is backing Palestine. Yes, they are. And they said it on their Twitter page. I'm going to pull up the Twitter page too. Now, BLM has decided to renege on this. They decided to renege on it. And when I get into the reason why, you're going to laugh. Black Lives Matter stands in solidarity with Palestinians. We are a movement committed to ending settler colonism in all forms. A new word they decided to make up. In all forms, and will continue to advocate for Palestinian liberation. Always have, always will be. Now, for anybody not paying attention to the media, you would be like, yeah, go BLM. What's wrong with this? Except for the fact of nobody is against the Palestinian people. Do you know what we are against? Hamas. They decided to attack Israel. Israel is an American ally. You have to stand up and say something, or if and when stuff goes down here, they're not going to stand up or say anything for you. But these people are so ridiculous that they don't think that you and I are paying attention to know what they're doing. Palestinian liberation from what? Those people there are Christian and Jew. They're being attacked. So what exactly are you defending? Because nobody has a problem with them. It's about Hamas.
May I mention something?
Yeah.
It's funny, you know, I've encountered a lot of people who say that, oh, well, it's about land, you know. It's not, and here's the proof. Hamas fired upon densely populated civilian areas of Israel from densely populated civilian areas of Palestine. These were not strategic locations that they struck. Again, they were densely populated civilian areas, and again, they were firing from densely populated civilian areas where the civilians cheered.
Facts.
Hamas and Islamists are behind this.
There are some Jews that are Christian and they believe that Jesus is a Messiah. Yeah. You don't make a generalization like that. There are Christian Jews. Now, are there Jews that don't believe? Absolutely. But there are Christian Jews.
Of course.
And if you want to know who hit the thumbs down, it's a stalker that I have who has stalked me through my Facebook. And since I've blocked that person on every single thing, they don't comment on here because they know if I see their name, I'm going to hit block. So instead, they hit a thumbs down on my video because they're that miserable with life. That's misery. To sit here and thumbs down somebody's video because you don't like what I'm saying. Are you not even what I'm saying? You don't like me. And here's the catch. This person buys my merch. How weird is that? Welcome to 2020, guys. People wanted to know. I'm going to tell you. But BLM came out speaking against it. No, we weren't saying that. And Fox News, of course, they blame Fox News. What Fox News didn't put this out. The New York Post did. Thank you very much. Fox News spread a fake narrative they were standing with Hamas. I don't understand how you're standing with Palestinians when nobody in our government or here has any issue with the Palestinian people. It is Hamas. But this is what happens when propaganda takes over and people don't think for themselves. And you get stuff like this where they put their foot in their mouth. I'm glad they're getting flack for it. What do you guys think? What do you think, DC?
Yeah, my thing is like, especially my beef is with the Christians, the liberal Christians out there, if there is a such thing. You know, I have many Christian family members who know to stand with Israel, knows what the Bible says about standing with Israel and supporting Israel, and they do it 100%. They look at the attacks on Israel from the left, and it doesn't raise any red flags in their minds concerning other issues, that arise with the left, and it just goes to discernment. There's a lack of discernment uh, within church leadership, community leadership, and they're failing us. They're setting us up for failure because you're letting these people run rampant in the culture, spreading lies and mistruths, misinformation, all on behalf of race rhetoric because they say things that aligns with your racial views. Therefore, you let them run amok and attack Israel, which you know is detrimental to you spiritually and the culture, at large here in America. In America itself is detrimental. So my biggest beef is with those Christians who, like Kwame Brown said, are scared to stand up for what they know is biblically, sound,
Right.
biblical truth, all because they are so adamant about their racial views.
I would have to say, to your point, um, to the Christians who engage in eisegesis, reading into the text to justify possible contradictions between their religious beliefs and their ideologies. Um, I'll hear things like, oh well, we spend all of this money on Israel, basically we should let them go to hell in a handbasket because we believe that these human rights violations take place here. Well, fine, if you want to justify it rationally, here's the way. um, you say we spend so much money on Israel, we do, so we should torch our investment. How's that moral? How's that rational? How's that logical? Doesn't make any sense. The Bible preaches redemption. It says that no one will be saved unless he is reborn. It's kind of like the phoenix death and rebirth. It's funny how they abandon that when they try to value their politics.
Facts, man. I like having conversations like these because it's intellectually stimulating and it forces people to think. We're not sitting here talking about, yes, I will talk about the latest trend, but I'm going to relate it to the Bible. I'm going to relate it to real life, and we're going to talk about it. Because if we don't have these conversations, we're just doomed, man. I'm tired of walking around with people acting stupid. That is the most insulting thing, to have a mind and have it be capable of learning and taking things in, and you would just rather piss it off on nonsense.
Yeah.
And
It's crazy to me.
for all those people on the right who are turned off by talk of Christianity and biblical principles, if you're on the right, you gotta acknowledge the role biblical Christianity has played in producing the country that you love so much, that we're defending right now. So that's why we talk about it. That's why we bring it up, because it's intrinsic. You cannot separate biblical Christianity from any talk about, this country, the affairs of this country. And it's important. You got to acknowledge that whether you believe in it or not, you got to acknowledge the fact that without biblical Christianity, there is no America, point blank.
It undergirds our
Facts.
social sphere, which undergirds our political sphere, which affects the social sphere, and vice versa. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
It has
I
to be
just
in the
throw the tank.
conversation.
I just throw the 10 Commandments in people's face. Tell me what about the 10 Commandments isn't basic 1, 2, 3 law in our country?
Like the distinction
Everything that
between murder and killing.
thank you. Everything that we pride ourselves on, like our moral compass, all of it comes from Christianity.
Yeah. The founding fathers, when they were doing all their writings, when they were debating at the Constitutional Convention, the number one quoted resource was the Bible, um, ahead of all the great minds of that time and before, Locke, Montesquieu, and people like that. The
Mhm.
Bible was quoted far more than those other guys who are basically, seen as the founders of Americanism. The
Instrumental.
American governmental system. So you have to bring that into the conversation because it's intrinsic, like I said, to who we are as a nation.
Facts, man. This was fun. I want to do more conversations like this. Anytime you're free, Wayne, hit me up. I'll bring you on. We'll
For
have a
sure.
good conversation.
For sure.
Hopefully
My
I can
pleasure.
get my buddy on. I want to get my buddy on here so we can talk about racial profiling.
Oh,
And
heck yeah.
I want you to be on here too, DC, because apparently I don't have enough experience being black. And I'm not talking about specifically with him, but anytime I have these conversations, you're like, you ain't never spent time in the hood. Nah, but I spent time down the street from the hood. I still
Hmm.
had a single black mom. My
Hmm.
dad still wasn't in the picture. You
Yeah.
know, I never seen a strong male figure like ever until I got married. So, what is the black experience? We all experience it differently. The only thing
Hmm.
that's really core to us all is we are raised by single black women.
Yep.
That's it. And
Hmm.
we're all conservative by nature. By nature.
For
So
sure.
until we can talk about abortion, black on black crime, fatherlessness, HIV rates, literacy, the lack of attention that needs to go to these inner cities, what are we talking about? Because everything else is secondary. Police brutality, as far as I'm concerned, is minuscule. It's like that much on a massive level of what's wrong. But I'm
If
going to
no,
let you guys give your closing statements.
we got to ask ourselves if not a single police incident was to happen, like from police misconduct to police shootings, if not a single incident was to ever happen again from this point on, would the black community move forward from that point? Would progress be made as far as our socioeconomic status in this country? The answer is no. It would do nothing for us. But if black on black crime was to stop today, the community would progress like that, would change overnight. If education, how we view education and how it's implemented in our community, if that was to change today, progress would be made like that. We would see a turnaround for the next generation immediately. So
Yeah,
that
man.
lets you know everything you need to know about where we need to focus our energy. And people need to decide. Black people need to decide, what do we want? Do we want dogma or do we want progress? Do we really care about our community? Do we really want to see our next generation grow up in better circumstances? Do we want to abolish the hood? Do we want better communities and neighborhoods for our kids to grow up in, that they don't have to worry about the things that they have to worry about today, all the
Mhm.
psychological trauma that they experience. What do we really want? Do we want to just have animus towards a group of people, or a system, or a thing or something like that? Or do we
Mhm.
actually want progress for our community? And me, Sunni, and many people like us, we want progress. We don't want to see these conditions perpetuated for generations to come. And that's what black people need to decide in their minds.
Facts. What about you, Wayne? What you got for us?
I would say that to those who believe that promulgating revolution is the way to go uh, toward the pursuit of establishing their utopian goals, whatever they may be, even if they're not so utopian. Um, there's a realization that must be had, and that is that there 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 are two poles there. You have two choices. One is to try to better the system, and the other is to destroy it. People that like to, particularly the Marxists, they like to point to history and say, oh, look, that's why, there's that new word. What was that? Colonism. If this is really a thing and it's so ubiquitous and it's so inextricable, then you might ought to look at Russia, and you might ought to look at China, and you might ought to look at some of these places that see us as prime real estate, and wake up and realize that if you revolt and you do succeed in dismantling the system, a system that's already been established for hundreds of years will come and surely take it over for you.
Absolutely. Facts. Yo, that was a mic drop. You just dropped a whole bomb on him, and I hope people digest that.
It's my pleasure.
I am all week. All week, I said I'm going to be dropping artists that are talking about exposing Hollywood, exposing the truth of what's going on. I've been using Bizzle as my intro. I got a whole intro coming out using that song because it's fire. And you know what? The younger generation listens to music. This is in our generation too, because I grew up on a whole lot of R&B, crunk rap, all that underground rap. J. Cole's my favorite rapper. But we need to put these artists that are actually talking about something worth substance up on a pedestal. So
Tom McDonald for president.
I love Tom McDonald. But Coco Jones, hopefully we'll be getting her on the show. She has been dropping bangers for years. And you don't ever hear about this young lady. And I wanted to go ahead and give her some credit. So we're going to end the show with this song. I hope you guys enjoy it.
I'm in Hollywood, it's getting hella weird. Hollywood, it's getting hella weird.
Sons of Sonics.
The city of angels is devils just covered in diamonds. All of the glitter's just dust you can't trust, though it's blinding. Everything about it, something you ain't seen before. Don't get too excited, you breaking down a bolted door. They don't know this ain't the place for the broken and weak-hearted. I'm in Hollywood, it's getting hella weird. When I'm in Hollywood, I'm cavalier, just kidding. Cause all I hear about is all these other pretty girls around the world trying to be a Barbie girl. But girl, it's Hollywood, it's getting hella weird. Instagram before your breakfast, yeah. These kids killing for a necklace, yeah. Makeup can't make up for what they lack. Plastic living they like us. Everything about it, something you ain't seen before. Don't get too excited when you're breaking down a bolted door. They don't know this ain't the place for the broken and weak-hearted. Yeah. I'm in Hollywood, it's getting hella weird. When I'm in Hollywood, I'm cavalier, just kidding. Cause all I hear about is all these other pretty girls around the world trying to be a Barbie girl. But girl, it's Hollywood, it's getting hella weird. Hollywood, it's getting hella weird. Hollywood, it's getting hella